So today I give you two approaches to CVs and two approaches to cold emails. So depending on what you need and how desperate you are and how good you are, one of them should work for you, hopefully. All right. So thanks for joining. Let's get started with the program of the day. So today, like I said, we're going to continue with our session talking about CV and email. And like I said in your, please can you mute yourself when you join? So like I said in the email, we are going to just focus on some key aspects that might be missing in the course that we have, in the free course that we have on the website, and some updates on some of the new knowledge that I've been privileged to gain over the years, maybe after developing the course. So you will get some new insights today. Now I'm going to start with the CV, then we can move to, new ideas on emails. If you're going to send cold emails out to professors, then we can take questions. So I would encourage you to, in order to be efficient, I would like to get all my thoughts out so you can wait till the end to ask questions. But so I will encourage you to, write down your questions if you happen to have a question as I go through the documents. So I'm going to share my screen and see if we can. So please let me know if you have issues hearing me. So there are two ways to write a CV, especially for grad school that I've seen. So the one on the left of your screen, that was my CV when I applied for grad school, like, I don't know, in 2013. So of course, I think I added this to the course. This can be found as one of the documents that you can download in the course. And some people still use this format. I'll tell you the main difference in the formats soon. And the one on the right was from one of our students, was it last year or last 2 years? So I consider this like one of the newer versions of, how to maybe write a CV for grad school, especially at this level when you might not have a lot of things to put on your CV, at this time. But for me, I still retain this format on the left, which is more of a summary of, which I think that's what CV should be, a summary of your journey and achievements. And really the main difference is that when you look at, let's say, so when you look at my positions, right, professional positions, there is really no description of what I did during this time, right? But when you look at the one on the right, you can see that for each experience, right, there is a description of, what you did. So you can follow either format. If you have a lot of things to put on your CV, let's say you've had enough experience after graduation, and sometimes when you do it like the one on the right, you might be having like maybe 6, 7, 8 pages. I don't think that's necessary. So you just use the abbreviated version here, where most professors that see these things, these professors are not illiterate, right? So they can understand what your role as an instructor would entail, right? So I'm saying if you don't have a lot of experience, you might consider using the format on the right. And I'm going to send this out to everyone that attended this meeting, so you can just decide what format will work for you. But like I said, currently some people methods still use the one on the left, while some people choose to be more descriptive of their experiences on like the one on the right. So today I'm going to focus on the one on the right, since this is the newer version. We have the one on the left online. All right. So I'm going to run through this quickly just to point out some important things. So I think this was Opeyemi's CV from last 2 years. I consider him one of the rare candidates for grad school. He's probably an overachiever. And so I'm going to use this as an example, not that you need to have all these experiences, right, before you apply, no. But just in case you have something that is similar to what he has, you can easily relate to it and see how he presented his experience. So there will be some things you don't have here. That's okay. You don't need to have everything. But you can see generally, for those in Africa, I know we usually put a lot of personal information, but that's not needed. All that you need, especially if you're applying to the US, which I believe almost everyone on this call should, right? So what you need basically is your first name, right? Space, middle name, then usually we put a comma and say last name. So last name is the same thing as your surname, okay? So then your street address and your email and phone number if you wish, but your email is very important. So your academic training, again, you don't really need to use this format where you have lines, right? That's not important. You can see that in mine. I don't have any such lines, but all depends on you. So academic training, you can see the clean format. I don't think this is the most important thing, but it just makes it, look neater. So if the main point you want them to get out of this is that you have a bachelor's and this is your CGPA. So you put that in bold letters. So that's the essence of the bold letter. So you don't need to put everything in bold. All right, so at this time he had a bachelor's and ND, a national diploma. Now, for this section, this is not important, but if you're already clear about your interests, it may give you an edge but you have to make sure that this particular interest, right, can be found with one of the professors in the department you're applying for. So in essence, if you are going to use the same CV for, let's say you're applying to 5 schools, you have to be careful about this section, because what you will find in each school or department might be different, right? Except you are sure that this same research interest can be found across all schools. So in my own opinion, if you are not really clear about what you want to do yet, you may leave out this section. But if you are clear about it and you know for sure that you can find it in this school, it might really help, because when they see this, they would know that this person is thinking ahead of his or her mates, okay? But again, not compulsory. Now, again, for me, I put professional experience, right? But in this case, what he did was to separate his research and teaching experience and other experiences, right? Just to make it a bit more specific in the information he wants to communicate to the reader. So he started with research experience. This research experience is important for his field. So again, you want to discuss the important things first, just in case they don't get to the end of your CV. So research experience, he listed that he was a research assistant under this particular PI, and with the dates, the title of the project he worked on. Now, essentially, you don't have to be the leader of this project, but you want to describe what you did, right? And you can see an example of how specific it was. So he said, performed RNA isolation on 120 swab samples. So he gave numbers to everything. So that's important to give context to what you did in this position. So led a team of 5 volunteers to, assay 1,500 blood samples. So that, I think that's important to quantify your efforts. And I think I always say this, you have to put numbers, quantify what you did, if it's possible. So again, you can see for this experience, he did the same thing. I think he did more of the quantification here. But even though you can see, even though this was for a short period of time, right? Just about 5 months there. But he still described what he did very, very, very well, which I think I liked. So you want to try to emulate that. If you can quantify your experience or your achievements during this position, or a particular position, it's important to do that. Now, the next one, of course, you don't need to have 3 or 4 research experiences, but whatever you have, you should be able to tell us what you did. All right. So one thing I should mention before I go to the next page is that you want all your dates to align, okay? And when I review CVs sometimes in the past, what I see most people use is to do space, to use the space bar, blah, 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 and start going like that. No, you don't want to do that. For anything that you want aligned on Word, you want to make sure you use the tab, okay? So the tab sign. Let me see, because I know some people struggle with this. So what you need is this tab button, okay? So I think if I hit that tab, let me see. Yeah. So that's what you need. So if you use that for everything, everything will align. But if you use the space bar, I promise you, you can try, but as soon as you make a change somewhere else on the document, your line might shift. So, but tab will not do that for you. All right, so professional experience. So I really do not understand why he separated these two, but I think these were more of paid positions, right? So these were more of paid positions, and while this was more of research in the course of his studies. So again, if you don't have paid professional experience where you were a lab manager, you don't need to do this. But I'm just, that's why I said I'm going to share this more of like an overachiever CV. But it gives you a sense of how you can present your own experience. And he did something here where, during his paid job, right? His paid job, he put a section where he said key achievements. So this is what he considered his key achievements. If you have something like that, like you can think of something like that during your job, your paid job, not your studies now, that relates to grad school, that's key, that relates to, some of the things you might have to do in grad school, you can do something like that. So I found that interesting. And he only did that for this experience, not this experience. So it's okay if you don't do it, but it's just an idea that I found interesting. Okay. Now, so research, professional, and now teaching experience, because teaching experience sometimes it's important to get funding in form of teaching assistantship. So if you have that in any way, please, it's okay to use a separate section to discuss what you did. So he was a teaching assistant. And you can see what he did here, assisted in, so he did not even teach a course, but he assisted in demonstrating laboratory experience to 80 fourth-year students, okay? So he put a number behind the students. So students tutor. So I found this interesting when I talked to him. So this was more of, you know, when we were in school, I don't know if they still do this now. We have people that organize tutorials, right? For 100 level students. So he did some of this, and you can see how he presented that. So as a tutorial master, quote unquote, that's what we called them back then. So he tutored a class of 120 students for immunology with a 90% success rate in exams, you know, things like that. So you can see how he put that experience as a tutorial master when he was in school. So again, these are some of the things I know some of you might relate with. So this is just a description of how you can present your experience. So he was a mentor for some high school PPOs, and you can see how he wrote his achievements here. So mentored 20 students through the college admissions process. 95% of students tutored passed their high school exam. So if you are doing, I know a couple of my mentees in the past and even friends, they do these tutorials for WAEC or NECO in Nigeria. So this is similar to what you can, you know, how you can describe that experience in your CV if you are part of that, if you have done that before. So I think this was a very wise way of presenting that experience. So that's that on research, teaching, or job experience, okay? Now to publications. Again, publications are not everything. If you have them, that's great. But if you don't, that's okay. And I think one of the ways to mitigate that is to, I think we talked about preprint websites in the last video, last session. So the video is up on the YouTube channel. If you missed that, please check it out. So you can upload your thesis on the preprint server and copy the citation here but that will not be peer reviewed, right? So it could be manuscript under review or manuscript under preparation or none. If you have a preprint, you've already uploaded it. I think the best way to put that will be, because you can't say manuscript under review, you've not submitted it anywhere. Because if you want to do manuscript under review, you have to, it would be nice to state the journal, you know, where they are reviewing your manuscript. But if you don't have that, then you can't do this. You can equally not say manuscript under preparation because, I mean, you've already prepared it and it's uploaded already. So if you don't have any plans to publish it quickly, what you can do is what I did on my CV. So I'm going to pull this up again. So you can see under publications, I have refereed and non, excuse me, and non-refereed publications. Okay, so these ones are the ones that are not peer reviewed. This, so you can just do peer reviewed or non-peer reviewed. So if you have a non-peer reviewed, just put non-peer reviewed or non-referred. And you can put your preprint here. For me, I used this, so I had a blog then. I think it's probably still working, but I'm not. It's been like a long time I did anything on the blog. So I had a blog then where I intentionally just started it after graduation, after finishing my undergrad, and I started writing science-related articles. So if you have a blog similar to that, similar to what you will be doing in your field. You can use it as a non-peer-reviewed publication or writing sample. So all they want to see is just to see that you have some writing experience. So you can do that. But let's go back to our sample for today. So again, if you have questions, please write it down. I'm going to take everything at the end. So peer-reviewed publications are those that went through review. If you have anything under review and if you have anything under preparation, so there's really no way we can measure this, right? So we can't see it. We can only just try to believe you. So I know some of you might go this route, but it's really not helpful. If the only way this can be helpful is if you are only going to have manuscript under preparation, you should make sure that one of your referees talk about this work. Okay. So again, I think we have a whole session on referees. But you should make sure that one of your referees talk about the fact that you are preparing a manuscript and it will be submitted by so date. So if you know the name of journal, yeah, that's great. So it has an article in a magazine as well. So, and you displayed that. So if you have a blog, if you don't have one, you can start one right now. If you want to do a blog spot, I think that's free. So that's something you can attempt. All right. So every other thing is just basic stuff. Members of professional societies. You can find if you are not part of any membership society. Let's say you are a chemist, as American Society of Chemists. I think for most of these professional societies, their student memberships are free, but you might just need someone in the field to refer you, or sometimes you can self-nominate yourself, or self-nominate or nominate yourself. So you can try that, look at the associations in your field and try to go to their website and see if you can join as a student member. So if you have any certifications, when I applied, I didn't have any. So this guy was intentional about all these certifications. The ones you do on Udemy, Coursera, some of them are free. So you can see how he presented his certifications here. And everything he put here are in some way related to what he's applying for. Some of the skills will be useful. Awards, it's okay if you don't have any awards. So I would think for most of you, if you don't have a lot to present, you should try to get some of this certifications from, you can see these are from really well-known institutions, right? So it's encouraging to see that someone is doing this. And some of them, again, are free. Some will take a few dollars, but some of them are generally free. All right, leadership experience. If you have any leadership experience, for the purpose of this grad school CV, if you have any experience in the community that relates to what you are doing, that's great. Even if it doesn't relate that much, you can see that these ones are on the lower pages of the CV. So sometimes they wouldn't care that much. But if you have ones that are related, that's great. Conferences and symposium or workshop attended. In my opinion, this should probably come before this, especially if your experience here is not related to the program you are going for, okay? Additional skills. So if you have any statistical skills, any coding skills, you probably want to put them here, or even before you want them to see maybe somewhere around here. So you just want to put the important ones, the things that you think will sell better towards the section of the CV. And yeah, that's it. Hobbies, I don't know if that's important. So if you have any good hobbies, especially if they are related, that's great. So I'm back to my own CV now. I think I just want to point out something. So one of the things I wanted to point out is my blog. You can see how I use that as a writing sample. I was lucky to have a publication then. But even if you don't have, there are creative ways to show that you can write at this point. So there is really no excuse that you have nothing to show in this section. Now, I wanted to point out presentations. So yeah, I was lucky to have a presentation at this conference then, but this was what I did with my university seminar. So you can present yours like this. Your seminar, you had an oral presentation. I think most of the time we have to defend our seminars, right? And it was the same for us, and I used that as some sort of presentation. Okay. So for me, I split in terms of national or state, or even right now, I still kind of split everything. So this is a university. Anyone that says is not, this is a presentation within the university, and it was an oral presentation. Okay. And for my teaching experience, I put that at the end because I was hoping to get a research position then, so that wasn't really important. But if I were to do this now, I will probably put this somewhere after this section, somewhere here. Okay. But again, you can see how I split everything out. I think this was where I did my NYSC, and I stayed after to do some little work, raise some money for this grad school stuff. So I ended up spending 6 terms, I think we call it. And you can see how I put the number of students, approximately 38 students per term. All right, so that's it. I didn't have anything like hobbies, but in your own case, you might want to put that if they are interesting hobbies. So I'm back to this. You can see his hobbies: teaching, scientific writing, outreach, and surfing the internet. So these are interesting hobbies that might be related to some of the things you will do in grad school. But I must say you should be careful if you're going to say scientific writing and we can't see anything under publications, either peer-reviewed or non-peer-reviewed, then we know you're lying. That's not your hobby. You're just lying. All right, so that's what I want to talk about as regards CVs. So there is really no, against, just to negate some of the points out that there is no one way to write a CV. There is no CV gold standard of CV. So it's all about how you communicate your experience, and each person's experience will be different, and how you communicate that might be different. You will be able to be in the best position to communicate that to your reader. All we can give you is to give you examples of how people have done it in the past, so that you can present your own unique experience. So yes, so that's that on CVs. Let me stop sharing. So it's 8:40. So let's pause on that for some seconds. And I'm going to switch over to cold emails now. But again, I know you have a lot of questions, but what I want to talk about as regards emails will be brief. I think we covered that extensively in the call, but I have some new updates that I got from someone. So I wanted to share it with this select people who chose to join today. Yeah, give me a minute. I'll start taking questions soon. But again, I'm going to share all these documents with you all so you can use that to your own advantage. Here's this document. Can you all see my screen again?
Yes, we can see it.
All right.
Yes, we can.
All right. Thank you for the feedback. Okay, for this one, so the cold email that we found on our website. So this was a sample we put on the website, which has been helpful in the past. But you know, sometimes there's always room for improvement, right? And I was lucky to meet someone, a Korean, at my place of work. And we're just talking about, you know, how they get positioned. And, you know, she actually shared one idea with me that, you know, I think would really work if you know what you're doing. But this is not going to work for everyone. But if you have the time to, you know, spend a little time on reading and understanding what a particular professor does, this might really help. But again, this is not for everyone. This particular sample can work for everyone. Of course, you can describe your experience, like we did here, and you know what you want to do someday after your PhD. So reading this, if hopefully they have the time, they should be encouraged if you have all the skills and background. But you know, after having that conversation with my colleague, I read the email. She showed me the sample. Of course, I couldn't get a screenshot, but immediately after the meeting, I just quickly went and wrote everything that I could remember down, so I can share it someday with people. So this is a template, a short one, but you can see you will understand what she did here. So like I said, here is another template. If you have a quality and detailed CV or experience, you can go through the work of the professor. Then you can show genuine interest in what they do by showing that you understand enough to have insightful questions. Okay, so this was the email subject. So question about your recent paper in Science Advances. So let me pause there for a minute. Almost every academic that I know, when they see this, they would likely open this particular email. Okay, nobody would see that there's a question about their recent, because they have no idea what it is, right? So now, question about their recent paper. Dear Dr. Alfred, I am James, a master's student in biology at the University of Leeds. During my visual literature review, I came across your 2021 paper. Of course, this is not word for word as what I saw, but this was just something I rewrote from our discussion. So I came across your 2021 paper in Science Advances, where your team elegantly showed that calcium ion channels regulate pancreatic insulin release. So this is more of a diabetes research. I have two questions from your paper. How does, you know, then you go ahead and ask the question, but they should be insightful questions. They should show that you actually read the paper, right? You actually understood some parts, but you were just confused about certain things. So you have two questions, and you can describe why you needed the question. She didn't really bother because these were good questions from the paper. Now, on a final note, I am hoping to apply for a PhD in biomedical sciences for fall. I just put fall 2024 here if you're going to use this template. Do you anticipate having an opening in your lab? It will be an incredible opportunity for me to push the boundaries of the diabetes field under your mentorship. Some complementary work we could pursue could include understanding the unique or compensatory contributions of potassium channels in beta cell development and function during metabolic overload. I will bring several attributes to the team, including high content imaging that will complement the current skills in the lab. So that's just it. And of course, they attach the CV. So you can see the idea here is you have a question, genuine questions, right? And you want to ask if there's any or a potential opening in the lab. But you are not just saying that, you are now pitching ideas, okay? You are pitching ideas of research. And you just, of course, you are not making this a big marketing. You just want to let them know that you have some skills already, including this, that would add to whatever they have on the team. So you can see how briefly this captures a lot of things that professors will want in a student. So you can try this approach if you are not getting a favorable response, or if you are not getting any response at all with the previous templates, which is just about, sometimes just share log, finding someone who is actually looking, who has money and is looking for a student, or might be looking for a student. But if they have a position, for sure, going through this approach, you already pitched an idea. So again, like I said, this, I know this is not going to be for everyone, but I'm sure there is someone on this call, one or two people that might find this helpful. So either approach is fine, but this is something I think you should think about. Which approach you use, especially if you have been using the old approach and it hasn't worked a lot for you. So the areas where I color coded are those things I think are important here. The questions, pitching of an idea, what you will bring, and of course you want them to see more information in your CV. And your CV should, like I said, if you have a detailed CV like the one I shared today of that my mentee, reading that shows that you have enough experience, and nobody will really have a lot of questions after reading that CV. So yes, I just hit my time. I wanted to do this for 50 minutes, and I think I'm right on point. And now I have enough time to take questions. All right. All right, Olawale, can you unmute yourself, ma'am?
All right. Good evening, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, sir. Thank you very much for the insightful talks, and also congratulations on your grant, sir. I saw your post on Twitter the other day, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. All right, sir. So I have some questions here. So on the CV, used for as a sample for us does not have a session for poster and oral presentation. So can I put that in my own CV under the area of publication? I have 2 posters and oral presentation already. So that's one of the questions. And also, my paper got rejected from science by science yesterday. So I'm just thinking, maybe before I submit to the next journal, is it possible to have rejected paper on your CV if I'm applying? But I'm talking with my supervisor now, I want to submit it to another journal again. So that's another question. So yes, one thing I normally see on chemistry website, I'm a chemistry applicant, is they normally said they want a competitive applicant. And some of them can go as far as saying they are willing to waive application fee for competitive applicants. So I want to ask, who is a competitive applicant in this case? How can someone present himself or herself as that competitive applicant? And also, sorry, sir, my question is a little bit much. They normally say also that the number of intake depends on the area of departmental need. The number of applicants in chemistry department, they said the number of applicants they take depends on the area of the departmental need, because chemistry just have that major division, organic, analytical, and all that. So I'm asking again, how can I come in here? Because once they said we want to take maybe 20 people, or the number of people we take per year depends on what they need, and I don't have an insider there. So, and sir, lastly, I'm sorry, sir, lastly, how can I be specific in the sense that I know what I want to do? I want to study, maybe I want to come for my PhD on bioanalytical chemistry, and yes, still be flexible. How can I express that specificity and flexible? Maybe the department does not have maybe intake for bioanalytical chemistry for that particular year, and maybe they have opening for drug or drug design or something related to that. How can I present myself, whether in my statement of purpose, that I'm willing? So, and lastly,
Whoa. All right. Let's slow down.
Score on my CV. Yes, I'm done, sir.
Yeah, I'm trying to get your last question.
Okay, the last question is that can I put my IELTS score, IELTS, on my CV?
I don't know if it's just me, but I'm still struggling to hear you now.
All right, probably I will drop the last question in the chat box.
All right. So yes, if you have a poster presentation, you can still present it under presentation. Let me quickly share that screen again. I know this will help a lot of people. So screen. So let me go back to that document. But again, if you are using this particular format, you can see what I did here. It's publication. Okay, here. So I did oral, right? So you just use the same format. So put your name of the authors or presenters, the title of the presentation, the conference, and here you in these parentheses you can put poster, so they know it's a poster.
All right, sure.
In the other one, let me see for the other. In the other one, you can. I'm not sure he has presentations. So he hasn't done any presentation. At least he didn't put it here. So if you are going to have presentations, and let's say you have another section as presentation, if you have any oral, some people will list the oral presentations first. Like there could be a subheading here saying poster, or then you list if you have a lot. But if you don't have a lot, you can just like here you can put parentheses and say oral and or poster, depending on what you have. So yeah, they still count. So who is a competitive candidate? That's a question that only the department can answer based on the needs. So like you said, I think this links to your other question, where you said they are going to take in students in the area of departmental need. So for example, in chemistry, there are professors that are doing organic chemistry, analytical chemistry, structural chemistry, right? So let's say the people that have funding, because these professors apply for funding from federal agencies, right? So the people that have funding for this year are mostly structural and analytical chemists, right? And the people studying more of organic chemistry, they already have people in their lab, they don't have any new funding. Then, of course, if you don't have an insider, you wouldn't have that information. That's just the unfortunate thing. But the way you can you can try to identify that is to see where the funding is presently, and you won't be able to get the full information, but if you go to the NSF or NIH website, you can have an idea of those who have current or very recent funding in their field. So let's say you check a particular website and you know that in the last 6 months, only the structural chemists have funding, then they are likely to be looking for students in that area. And I described this NIH and NSF website in a previous video on the channel. So it takes a lot to know that, but you won't unfortunately you won't get a full picture as a candidate, except if the professors themselves share something on social media that we are looking for students. But sometimes they don't do that. So you just have to, that's why it's important to apply to multiple schools, because sometimes you don't know, sometimes you might be a good candidate, but there isn't just the fits for that particular cycle. And it's all because they don't have money to pay you as a grad student or pay your tuition as a research assistant. So there is no way to know that from outside. You can only try to do your research from the funder's website to see where the money is presently in your department. How would you know how can you know the specific area and still be flexible? So I think in my SOP template, I don't know if I said this anyway, but I'm sure I've said it to some group before. They want to see what your whole goal is as a student. They still want to see that. But you can then add a statement, though in many cases this is not advisable, especially if you've talked to a professor and they've already accepted you. But if you have no idea of who is going to be your advisor, especially in departments where they do lab rotations before you select an advisor, it's important to be flexible in that sense, because you don't want to be specific to say, I only want to study structural chemistry, right? So you can say you are fascinated about understanding the structures of biological molecules, but you are equally, you can just give two different ideas that you're thinking about in terms of specialty. So that's how you can show flexibility. But you still have to mention some of the ideas that you will be interested in pursuing further as a grad student. So showing flexibility is about just mentioning them and not sticking to one particular area, especially if you are going to departments where you would have to do lab rotations before you select an advisor. So generally, in that case, I'll say don't be too rigid on a particular research area. And I think the last one that I got was about the paper that was rejected in science. Of course, you are going to resubmit it to another journal. Rejection is the people that are going to review your applications have been rejected many times from journals. So that's not a big deal. You're going to resubmit it to another journal, and if they are already reviewing it in another journal, then you can put it as manuscript under review. And if you can upload it on the preprints website, that's great as well, so that they can actually assess the work if they want to see the quality of your work. So I think that's all I got. I didn't get a question on IELTS, but I'm going to defer to another person. So Amolola, let's hear you. Amolola Jinadu. All right, Amolola is not here. Rofiat.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear
Thank you, Dr. Ojo, for this wonderful presentation. So my question is regarding the CV format. So I wanted to know if, or should I say, how long does an applicant CV can be, like in terms of pages, that would not be too extensive for the admission committee to review? And in a situation whereby you probably have so many information to put on the CV, and should I say on the publication aspect or publication section of your CV, is it advisable to put something like, if you have a Google Scholar profile, put all the publication, of course, is listed on the Google Scholar, then put a link from the Google Scholar profile into that section for them to probably click and have a view of the publication. Does that seem acceptable or not?
Sorry, can you ask the second one again?
So my second question is also tied to the first one.
Okay.
And I said, in a situation whereby an applicant has so many publications and you just wanted to show everything on your CV, so thereby making the CV lengthy and all of that, is it advisable to include a Google Scholar link instead of putting all the publication on the CV, like spelling them out one after the other? So just put a Google Scholar link to where all the publications can be found. Is it acceptable to do that as an applicant?
So what do you mean by so many as an applicant? Are we talking about 20, 30 publications? But I think the answer to your question is, if you have so many and you are worried that it might be too long, what you can do is to select. Okay, so again, let me share my screen. So, and I think some people, I think I did it in my current CV. But here you can say, instead of saying publications, you can say selected publications, right? And you would now handpick the ones you think are relevant to the position you're applying for, right? So let's say 4 of them are relevant, are very relevant to it. So just list the 4 here. Then you can now put the Google Scholar link also, and you can say other publications, you know, and you put the
Google Scholar link, yeah,
or PubMed link, whatever.
okay.
So you just handpick, and professors do that all the time. So you can do that for your, in this case. And how lengthy should it be? As an applicant, you don't want to give them too much. I mean, I don't think, of course, they will be impressed that you have all this experience, but if you have all this experience already, why do you need a PhD? So you don't want to show that you're already a professor in Nigeria or something. So why should I take you? I'm just saying, I'm not saying you're a professor. I don't know if you're a professor, but you know, just handpick some relevant experience that you want to show. I think generally, if it's the one I shared today is like 4 pages, I think that's decent enough. I'm not sure I know if there is a rule that surrounds that, but this is just my personal opinion. If you have 4 pages of very, very relevant experience, I think that's sufficient. 4 to 5 pages. I mean, if you have more than that, has to be, maybe you are trying to change fields or you've been working for so long. And so you don't want to give the impression that you are, there's such a thing as overqualified sometimes, especially if the professor might look at you and you have all this experience. Why do you need a PhD? You know, so handpick some experience that are very important to the position, to the course or the field you're applying to, and the rest you can put it in some link or not even show them at all. But for the publications, just share the Google Scholar profile.
Oh, thank you. I actually I used to think that maybe 2 pages is like maybe the recommended standard also. So if you have 4, maybe that's too much, or for an applicant.
I think 4 is probably okay. Remember, these people they are going to review hundreds, right, of applications. So just put the important ones on your CV that are related. And you want to put, even if you have 4 pages, you want to put the important ones, very, very important ones on at the earlier part of the CV, like research experience, teaching experience, then publications. Those are the important things they want to see. Your writing sample. If you are teaching, if you're going to be a TA, let's say for chemistry people, now I know they have a lot of TA positions, then you want to put your teaching experience there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Jessica, before we take the questions in the chat.
Hello, Doctor.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for this session. I really appreciate. I've been following up since last year, but I've not really considered the application, but now I'm ready. Okay, I just want to ask a question. My question is, I don't really have experience on research assistant. I actually did my NYC program from, like, I graduated as a chemical engineering student, and I would like to do my master's in chemical engineering. But I did my NYC program last year from Nigeria Eagle Flower Mill in Ibadan. But I'm actually working as a banker. So I don't know, I don't really have any experience of research assistant, so I don't even know how to go about it.
Good question. So how long have you been working as a banker? So banking is like the only experience you have?
Not really. Like, I did my IT, like relating to my field. I did my IT in MPDC. I did my NYC at Nigeria Iglo Flower Mill. That's FMN, Flower Mill of Nigeria. But I got a job early this year as a banker. So I don't even know how to start. I don't even know. I don't have research experience.
And what field are you going to?
Chemical engineering.
Engineer. So remind me again when you graduated. I'm trying to see the distance.
Okay, I got said 2021.
Oh, that's still recent. So if you still, I mean, I still think it's recent enough for someone to forgive you for that. But really, they don't. It's, let's say you've been working in the bank for a long time, then it's going to be hard to come back to that engineering. But right now, I still think you can. I still think you can do it. In your case, you might have to, in this case, I would say you might have to take some exams to really show that, you still have what it takes to be competent in this field. But if you have good exam scores and your transcript is good, it's still very recent. So you shouldn't, they should still know that you can still remember some things from your undergrad.
Okay.
So if you are far removed from that, it might be beneficial to get a master's. Because but maybe not in your case, but let's say someone that have been working for like 5 years away from the field. So
Okay.
you might want to do some refresher course, maybe diploma or something, I don't know.
Okay.
So
But my problem now is I don't know how to go about I don't have research assistant experience, so I don't even know how to go about it on my CV, because I know the banking work experience is out of it. I can as well put my NYC experience, but the banking is out of it. So I don't really know how to go about it.
Yes, I would agree that for chemical engineering, you probably don't want to put the banking experience there.
Yeah.
For whatever experience that you have. So in your case, I wouldn't mind the gap, because except you want to extend an old experience till now. I mean, that will be dishonest, but I mean, that's an option. But it's probably not advisable to put the banking experience on your CV.
Yes.
And you can just be honest and leave the gap and let them wonder what you've been doing after that. But if you have like all other things that line up, like let's say you have fantastic documents, transcripts, test scores, you have great recommendations from people still working in the field, your professors especially, then they might be able to overlook the gap, or maybe ask you during the interview about the gap. But when you get to that point, you can cross it.
All right. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Doctor, please, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning. Oh, sorry, the other time you called me, I was actually talking, but you can't hear me. My first question goes like this.
That's
My undergrad, yes.
Okay.
Should I go ahead? Okay. My undergrad thesis was mentioned on my SOP, like it's in my SOP. And again, can I repeat it again on my CV? Add it to my CV again after it has been mentioned in my SOP. Then again, I don't have research experience like the one you showed on that CV, the other person's CV, the one you showed us. Can I have my undergrad research experience as my research experience? And again, I reached out to a school last week because I want to apply for PhD in marketing. I'm a management student, so I want to apply for PhD. Then I reached out to them that after graduating from PhD, can I actually go into management job, all these I'm a banker. So can I still go back to my banking job? With companies, we have research and development. And their response was like, they train people to be a researcher. Then most often their graduates are academic researcher, research position. Is it that PhD is actually for academia?
Yes. So if your intention is to go to in many fields, for example, marketing, if you still want to go back to the industry, they will probably, especially if you indicate that now, they will probably not, admit you, because they will admit you into a master's program, because right now this is probably what is needed to be effective in the industry section of your field. So for people who want to do a PhD in your field, they should indicate that they are, tilting towards the academy. So yes, in your field, that might be the case, especially if they are telling you that right now.
Okay.
And in most cases, I think I mentioned in one of the videos, even in your SOP, if you are talking about, or in your cold email, if you are talking about what you want to do after, especially for PhD applicants, it's always beneficial to point to the fact that you are interested in something related to academia. Because I'm also in academia, I don't want to say this out loud too much, but there are incentives for professors to have students that remain in academia after graduation. So they tend to like that. Okay, maybe you are indicating you would, do a postdoc after and get a professor position. You like teaching, research in the academy. But if you are given a notion that, I'm going to industry, some professors don't care, but a lot of the professors that I know would, if they have an alternative, they will look at that person like.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you so much.
So I think you asked a question on SOP.
Yes, I mentioned I have my undergrad thesis mentioned in my SOP. Yeah. Can I still include it?
Oh, absolutely. It depends on how you include it. Some people in the SOP, they will say my undergrad thesis, and they will repeat the title. You don't need to repeat the title in the SOP. Just tell us the key things that you found or you did, during the research. But in your CV, of course, the way you present it is you present the title of the project, your advisor, and that's it. But in your SOP, you want to talk about maybe some of the outcomes or the experience you gained during that time and how it will be useful for you during your time in grad school. So those are the things you need to talk about in the SOP.
Thank you so much. Then can I use my project as my research experience, my undergrad project?
Yes, that's a research experience on itself. Absolutely.
Okay.
So just have a section
Thank you.
on research experience and describe, how that guy did. You just describe, maybe put 2-3 bullet points on, what you did during this time.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Thank you.
Welcome. Habib, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Okay. Hello, Prof.
Yes.
Hello, Doctor. Thank you for the session. It has been a wonderful one. Please, my question is, in a place where I have a publication kind of not related to my interest for the grad school, but I have been working I've been working like 2 years back now, and few of my extra curricular activities I engaged back then in school is more related to my interest for my graduate application. Now, the question now goes, in a place where I don't have a publication, but I have some technical projects I've worked on that are very much related to my interest. Please, how do you suggest I should go about it? Like, to show it as an act of what I've dedicated my time for in place of the publication. So that's it.
So help me understand the nature of these technical projects. Are they like coding or
Okay.
what kind of projects?
They are kind of project in between hardware and software. There is a kind of coding into it, and there is a kind of integration in hardware into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what field are you applying to?
Okay, I am applying into electrical and computer engineering. Yeah.
Okay, so I think I get. Yeah. What people do, what a couple of our people have done in the past, is to open a GitHub account, and there is a way to indicate your projects. Put your projects. Sometimes people share the code. If you are willing to share the code, that's great. But you can share the project or summarize the project, the outcomes. If you have some images, you can put it there. I think that's one way you can show your expertise, your technical expertise in whatever you are hoping to apply to. And then if let's say you now have that GitHub account, you've arranged all the projects and the codes and the skills that you have, you can easily use that link on your CV or even in your email or SOP to indicate the skills that you have. So in that case, you would have to be creative on how you will show it, especially on your CV. If it's related to, so it's okay to have a section. This is a CV. That's why I said there is no gold standard to, it will depend on your field, and you just have to be creative. I would suggest in your case that you have a section. If you think this is very important, have a section maybe right at the beginning, or let's say first 2 pages, where you just indicate. The section will probably have a heading such as projects or technical projects, and you will describe, just a short sentence on what the project is. Then you put a link to your GitHub account. You understand what I mean?
Very well.
So, and in the past, when people even have, there was a guy that was in Greek, and he had this experience, going to outreaches and teaching farmers how to, proper way of planting, spacing their crops and everything. And whenever he goes to these events, he would take pictures, of his action, well, just pictures, and he put that in a Google Drive, and he, got the link, and he put it on his CV, and even talked about it in his SOP, and he included the link in the SOP. It's okay to have links, or maybe not more than one anyway. So when he described his work, and he said, you can find details of the activities here. You put the link in parentheses. People would actually check the link and see what you are doing. So yeah, that's the way to do it in your case.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And so there's a question from King Ibile. I have an MBA. Should I include the transcript in my application for MSc in the USA? Good question. Is Europass CV allowed? I don't know what a Europass CV is, so I probably won't be able to answer that. So should you include your MBA transcript? That's tough, you know, except people get multiple masters anyway, but in your SOP, you must be very clear on why you need another master's. It's okay, maybe you want to do research in another area or you need it for certain reason. You only can answer this, and you have to be clear in that document why you need that. Yeah, and it's really okay, especially if you have experience in the industry, right? And there might be a reason why you need that other master's in a separate specialty within the field. So explain that to them. We would love if we can have.
Sorry, Doc. Please, can you hear me now? Victor.
Okay, yeah. Give me a minute. Let me finish this question. Okay.
All right, sir.
We would love if we can have access to the materials you just used. Sure, you will. I'm going to attach it in a minute when I'm done answering questions. We would, where do I find funded professors? Okay, in your field, if you are looking for MBA, it's probably hard, but if you are in the life sciences, physical science, any science related field or agriculture field, if your research is related to health, the National Institute of Health, so there is something called NIH Reporter website, and there is the National Science Foundation for those in life physical sciences. And I did a video, if one of the co-hosts can drop the link here, if they would be open to sharing that, and I can try to find a link and send it to everyone after, describing how to use the website. So I have experience as HR, and I'm proposing to apply for HDFS, Human Development and Family Science. Can I put the work experience on my CV? Is it related to any specialty you're doing? Because I know HDFS can specialize in a lot of things, so it depends. I think that can still work, especially if it's if you are dealing with people as HR, you should be able to explain how that would help. You know, if you can explain how that will help in the future or while you're in grad school, that's okay. I think it's still a related area. Applying for PhD, is it compulsory to have your research published? No, it's not. It helps, but if you can put it in a preprint server so they can access it, because everything they want to check is just to see if you are prepared. How prepared are you for this grad school experience? So if you can upload your prepared manuscripts and put it on a preprint, so you can show them the link and they can easily click and read your work. They will probably not read it. They will just maybe skim the abstract. I have a question about research experience. I have a bachelor's degree in biochemistry. In my final year, the pandemic happened. So my final year project was not lab-based because of the lockdown. So I had to do a group project which used questionnaires instead. Will this hurt my chances of getting into the program? I don't know if it would hurt, especially if you're a biochemistry student. They did a research, right? And the research, assuming I know what the research is about, I might be able to tell you if it's going to help or not. But if the research is a little close to a science-related project, I don't know, again, I don't know what this is. It might still be useful, especially if you can explain the outcomes and the implications, of doing this research, and you can still explain why your research was more of questionnaire based in your SOP, and why you need this grad school experience to really get you into technical research in your field. So I think they will understand that in your SOP. If other aspects of your applications are on point, your transcript, you have a good GPA. If you have to write exams, in some cases, many schools are getting away from exams now, but if you have to write them, have a great score, have great letters from your referees. We'll talk about referees soon, which I think a lot of people overlook them, but they are very important. And I put that as a separate session in future. So again, I don't know if it will hurt your chances. It depends on the outcomes and the type of research that you did and how you explain that in your SOP. All right, Victor.
All right. So thank you so much, sir, for the opportunity. So I was going to ask about the preprint. I was not in the last session, so I was trying to watch on YouTube, and I saw that you're talking about preprint. But unfortunately, I could not access the link because I was watching via the YouTube, not the Zoom. So I think you dropped the link on the chat, but I could not access that since I was streaming it via YouTube. I don't know if you could send the link now to the chat where I could. Maybe you could just talk on it like a minute or so. Then the link that I could do that.
Yeah, preprints. So you can. So depending on your field, you can upload preprints. I think I gave about 6 or 7 websites. BioArchive. So it's spelled BIARXIV. BioArchive, archive. Depending on your field, for those in chemistry, I'm not sure I got the spelling of Chem Archive, but preprints.org is another one. .org, and there is actually one that was created in Africa as well, Africa Archive. I've not seen a lot of people use that. XIV. Please double check the spelling. I think there's something Africa. I put it in the. So it's one of my most recent videos. So if you want the link, and let me see. Give me a minute. I think this will be better for you. I actually forgot that I actually have a blog post on it. So let me just share the link of the blog right now. So you will get the link of everything. So I think the advent of preprints is a game changer. So if you click that link, you would find my short blog post on this and links to all this website that I've talked about. All right, if that's all, then we can move to Wale.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, good evening, sir. Thanks for this session once again. So I'm the guy that messaged you on YouTube asking about the HDFS.
Oh, okay, on YouTube. Sorry, I've not gone to my YouTube comments. All right, okay. What was the question?
Okay, so now I graduated with a 3rd class, and I have 2 teaching experience, different years experience, and I have another experience as a HR, human resource manager. Okay. Can I put that on my CV as a work experience? and I also have other voluntary work experience, and I've done my West evaluation.
So what was your West evaluation? What did they come out to be?
Yeah, 2.67.
Over 4, okay. So you are applying for a master's, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, the HR thing can actually, so for example, in my alma mater now, Oklahoma State University, the Human Development and Family Sciences program, the department has a lot of other programs. So I remember there's gerontology, there's actually restaurant, something administration.
Teaching science, gerontology, and other family sciences.
Family sciences, things like that. So I think that experience can still relate. Your HR experience can still relate to some of these things.
Yes,
so I don't think you should hide that. So I don't know if it will help, if it's special, but I don't think it will hurt your chances. So what was the other question? So is there another question there?
No question, sir.
Yeah, so I don't think you should hide it. I don't think it will hurt it. It's not vastly different from, you guys are dealing with humans anyway. That's what you are trained to do. So I think that's fine.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right, Kemi. Olalekan.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you so much. It's a great privilege. Thank you for all these sessions. Thank you, sir. This is my question. It's all about myself. I graduated with a 2.2, but I have a lot of research experience. And then apart from that, a lot of teaching experience also. I have done my West evaluation and I have about 3.07 over 4.
Okay.
But school search and getting a supervisor has not been very, very easy. Last fall, for 2023, I got one person who told me to go on and apply. But after that, I couldn't get any response from the person again. So I was thinking maybe it was because of the poor grades towards the ending of my graduation. 400 level and 500 level, the grades were not very good. I had to bank on the first 3 years to have that very good grade. So I was thinking, how can I address this and still be able to get a fully funded PhD? So that has been my challenge.
Good question. It's hard because now we can't go back in time and try. Now, in many schools, what some people don't know is, even if you have a 2-1, let's say from Nigeria, right? You have a second class upper. If you have a first class, this will probably not be an issue. But I've seen people who had 2-1 and they were rejected because the last 2 years of their transcript were not great. Some departments will focus, not that they disregard the first 2 years, but they focus more on your senior, so they call that senior years here, your last 2 years or final year. So that's when you get all these high-level classes. You get to take these high-level classes that would really relate to whatever you're going to learn in grad school. So they tend to focus on these 2 years to see how you did on this. So, but the good thing is not all departments or not all schools look at it this way. So that's why there is no way you can help that if they are going to judge you based on your last 2 years. You can't go back in time. All you can do is sometimes if you have exam scores, they help to let them know that you can deal with high level, exams. Okay. Sometimes this help because it's all about an issue of trust now, because now you took high level courses in undergrad and you didn't do well. So how are we sure that you're going to do well in grad school? So I think a way to mitigate that is to just take some, if you can, take the GRE, and if you pass it very well, that could help show them that you can deal with high levels. So I don't think the GRE really answers that question, but it's still something, because really there is nothing you can do about your transcript anymore except you go take a master's somewhere, which is another 2 or 3 years depending on the university you take that in Nigeria. The obvious thing you can do as well is to just, that's why it's important to diversify your applications, right? Spread it out. Not all schools or not all departments do this, okay? So, but sometimes you just apply to this particular school that they are just interested in those last 2 years. Some will just look at your overall CV, GPA, and that's it. So I don't know if I have any good news in that section. There is nothing you can do to mitigate that if they're going to look at your transcripts in the last 2 years. Maybe a little thing you can do is to write exams to show them that you can deal with high-level subjects. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Spread out your applications. Just sometimes someday you get lucky to apply to. You might get lucky to apply to departments that want to do this to you.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right. Paul, Mr. Paul Alabi.
Thank you very much, sir. It's been a wonderful session. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, yes.
Oh, good. Thank you very much, sir. I can only say God bless you at this point. Your content has been very helpful and resourceful, especially the NSF and recommendation on how to get potential supervisors that are funded recently, and some other of your wonderful content. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
My question is regarding the TV. That's what this meeting is more centered upon. I think to a good extent, I can say that, okay, I also use local standard, and I think it's well tailored. Now, I'm from a geoscience background, and I think based on how my journey has been so far on professional experience, I think to have, worked across different aspects of geoscience. To be more specific, I studied marine science in marine science. So now I'm grounded in geophysics, geology, and oceanography, and to some extent, not even to some extent, chemical oceanography, and to some extent, climate science. So now the question is, having all this experience all in one CV, what would you recommend? I attended the CV reading session recently, and they said it's better sometimes to tailor. For instance, now I've started taking interest in tech, that's coding, to actually add to enhance my geoscience background. So now, if I want to tailor my CV now, and maybe because I'm also a graduate school applicant, unfortunately I wasn't funded, but I secured one admission that I deferred recently. So if I'm still open to apply for this course. If I'm to tailor my CV, do you think I should create what I can call type A, type B, type C CV, such that if I'm going to be referring to my experience at Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency, for instance, which is more of chemical oceanography, should I have a CV for that separately? Then something on maybe geotechnical knowledge separately, and maybe then include my interest in coding, Python programming language in the various types. I think, do you really understand the question?
Yeah, you're saying, what field are you applying to? What fields are you exploring all these fields as well for grad school?
Yeah, because of how it has been very challenging case supervisor, I'm open to any field, because I can say to some extent that I'm grounded in my background and studies. I finished with a 2-1, 4.05 on a scale of 5.0. So at least that to some extent shows that I can go anywhere depending on which offer comes first.
Yeah, yeah, it looks like you have a lot of experience, but what you can do, depending on the field, let's say you're applying to marine sciences, right? A marine science program or oceanography. I think your experiences in marine science and oceanography will probably be similar, will be helpful to one another. I don't think you should separate that.
Okay, sir.
For example, the other thing is if you are applying to environmental science, for example, then you might want to just, I won't say remove, but all the relevant environmental experience that you have should just be up on your CV. Then you can have a section maybe on the third or fourth page talking about other relevant experiences. Then you list whatever you have in other fields, oceanography, but the bulk of your CV will be talking about your experience, will list your degrees, right? And your professional or research or teaching experience related to, let's say, marine and oceanography, if you're applying to either of these departments. So I would say maybe you need maybe 2 copies of your CV, and there'll be a copy that more of oceanography or marine sciences would take preeminence, right? Will be dominant. And the other one related to environment or geosciences would be dominant towards the start of the CV. So I don't think I think, to be honest, I think everything relates to each other in some sense. But if you think it's going to be too much, then you can have 2 copies of your CV.
So why I was asking that question, some they might want to look at your journey and be like, okay, you have been working on this path for a while. Why did you now go to maybe
you have to justify why you are? Yeah, that's why I said I don't know the amount of experience you have, but if you look at your CV yourself and you think, yeah, I want to sell for this particular field, I want to sell more of these experiences, then you might decide to omit if it's not going to create any distinct gap, right? You might omit some. But generally, I think coding works for any of these fields. It's always a good thing to have coding experience, especially if you can. We can always apply most coding skills across fields. Okay, so if you have that experience, you should just don't hide it. It's something very important in this day and age now.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, so let's go to Dami. I'm going to attach one document while I take Dami's question. So I know most people are dropping out.
Good day, sir. Thank you very much for the session. I really learned a lot. I have a question on when someone was talking about WES evaluation. Please, can you give a talk on what exactly is WES evaluation? Because this is my first time hearing about it. And also, is it compulsory to have a master's to apply for PhD? Or if you're currently on your master's, but when you're applying for a fall semester, your master's transcripts might not be ready, can I use my bachelor's to apply for the PhD?
Yes, so give me a minute. I think all right, so I just attached the cover letter template. Sorry, DK, we'll come to you soon. All right, WES evaluation is simply so that there's an agency called WES. I can't remember the full, but if you go to wes.org, all they do is to evaluate documents, foreign documents, and convert them to United States standard, right? So because in some cases, let's say Nigeria, for example, some universities use a 5.0 GPA scale, some use percentage GPA scale. I think the same in many schools in India. most schools in the US would not understand that. Most professors, regular professors that have never traveled out of the country before, they won't understand how to interpret that. So it's always a good idea. I know it's extra money, and if you don't have it, not all schools require this, but it always helps if you can evaluate your transcripts. So what they do is they will convert it to the 4.0 scale that they use here in the US. So what I find most times is let's say for people that have a low 2.1 or let's say 2.2 in Nigeria, for example, when they evaluate their transcripts, it turns out to be a very good GPA here in the US. So for example, someone who has a 2.7 or 3.0 out of 5 might end up having, when they convert it to 4.0 scale, might end up having 3.2 or 3 out of a total of 4, which is a good GPA here. Most schools, for grad school, most departments would need 3.0 out of 4, a minimum of 3.0 GPA out of 4. So you can imagine if your GPA is 2.9 out of 5, they might think you are not, within that scale, but when you evaluate your transcript, it could end up being within that requirement. So that's just the advantage. But not all schools require that. But if you are struggling with that low GPA, if you think your GPA is low and they might not understand how you're a good fit, you can try to do evaluation. Yes, David, look, World Evaluation Service, that's what it stands for. The second question was, what was the second question again? Okay.
Is it compulsory to have a master's to apply for PhD?
So no.
Okay, it's not compulsory.
It's not compulsory. So if you are still doing your master's right now, you can yeah, I'm going to send the CV template, but what you can do, let me share that template again. So what you can do if you have you're still doing something, so instead of so let's say this is a master's, right? So instead of saying 2009 to 2014, you can say expected in 2024. Expected May 2024. So that degree is expected. And if you have your master's thesis topic, you can still put everything like this. And you can still put your current GPA if you know what your current GPA is. Okay. You can always do that. Put it as expected, May 2024. Does that answer your question?
Okay, yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
And your referees, again, should be able to talk about, again, we'll talk about referees, but your referees plan to have your referees talk about your master's experience, to what you are doing and when it will be over. So they can be sure that this is going to happen for you. All right, let's go back to the beginning now. Peter Alabi. Then after that, David.
Good afternoon, Doc, and thanks so much for the session. It's been very, very enlightening. Can you hear me, sir?
I'm struggling, but I think I'm getting it.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
All right, it's better.
Okay. Yeah. I said thank you so much for the session. It's very enlightening. I have a few questions here. My first question is about leadership experiences and award. For me, I was class rep when I was doing my master's program.
Okay.
And then I also had the highest score in some of my courses. And then I graduated as best student in the department, though I was not given an official award for all these things.
Okay.
Can I still put them in my CV, despite the fact that I don't have documents to back them up.
Okay.
That's one. That's my first question. My second question is about WES evaluation. Most of the schools I'm planning to apply to, they are not asking for WES evaluation. But I have a feeling that if I do WES, from what I've heard from people now, it will push up my GP and all these things. So now, since they are not asking for WES, can I still do WES and submit the WES evaluation, the result of the WES evaluation to them, despite the fact that they are not asking for WES? Thank you so much. Those are my questions.
Good question. So I'll start with the second one. Sometimes you want to apply to, let's say you want to apply to 5 schools and one of them is asking for WES, right? Then you end up doing WES evaluation, send it to that school. My advice is always to send it to other schools as well. It always helps them if you have it. But if you're applying to schools that do not require it, you don't have to do it. They probably have a system, an internal system they use to evaluate foreign candidates. So there are some schools like that. But if you have it, or if you have the resources to do it, even if they don't ask, it always helps. You send your original, if you can upload a student copy of the original transcript and the WES evaluated transcript. Another advantage of WES is, let's say you want to, I know it's very difficult for many universities to give us our transcripts, right? But if you send just one transcript to WES, you can easily request them, I think for $10 or $15. It was like that in the last 2 years. I don't know if it's increased now. You can always, just request them to send your evaluated transcript to any school. So, and I think it will be acceptable by any school. If you have the WES evaluated transcript, if you have the documents with them, you just, I think there is an option where they keep your transcript for a good number of years. So you can just go back to them and say, send it to whatever school instead of going back to your university in Nigeria. So I think that's an advantage. The second question, if you have some sort of best student non-award, right? So I know it's not an official award, but if you know you're the best graduating student or something important that you want people to know, which can help, you can see what that guy did in his CV. He said he's the top 1%, and he put it close to his GPA. So it's top 1% in the class. Sometimes it's top 5%. That's okay. But what I would share when we get to the referee section, this particular set of people are very important, especially in this case when you don't have the evidence. Now you want to make sure that your referee touches on some of these things. One of them should be able to support you on that claim that, yeah, he was a great student and he graduated as the best student in our department. But let's say you put it on your CV and you talked about it in your SOP and nobody out of your 3 referees mentioned this, then everything is not in sync. Then it might not be really valuable for you. So that's what I would say. Yes, you can always talk about it in your SOP or put it on your CV, but plan to have one of your referees talk about it as well. I hope that answers the 2 questions. All right, David. Sorry, my brother.
Finally. Thank you very much, Doc. Thank you for the insightful section.
I don't know how I'm sorry I moved something. I don't know how that happened, but yeah. But yeah.
All right. Congrats on your grand stuff.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions actually. First, I'm an HND holder and I've done my WES evaluation and resulted to 3.37.
Okay.
But I want to ask, across my CVs, the ones I've been sending out, the CGPA day is the one for WES, not the one directly from my school. You get. So I'm asking, for example, University of Alabama, they say they don't accept West. They have their own system they use in evaluating. So in this case, what is on my CV is my West evaluated GPA. So am I just going to send that one to them, and one of their requirements is that you send the document from your school. So me, I'm thinking of, I don't have the money to spend again going back from getting this. So I was thinking of telling them that, okay, my school something is happening. I cannot get my transcript again, but West can. So that's one. Then two again, across all CVs, I've been seeing top 1%. My own, actually, I'm top 2%. So I'm wondering, if I put that top 2%, is it just a quick reminder to them that, this one is not part of the best or top one? So I'm thinking whether I should remove it or I should leave it. And again, I want to ask if research published on ResearchGate, as manuscripts published on ResearchGate have been accepted. And you send some links like this preprint. I don't know if those ones are also where manuscripts can be published. And then lastly, what's that question again? I think that's all for now. Thank you.
Okay. All right, I'll start with the last one. So manuscript published on ResearchGate. So if it's not published on a journal, ResearchGate is not a journal. It's just a medium where you share published, or I know there's a way you can share unpublished work, but as long as it's not in a particular scholarly journal, it's not considered a peer-reviewed publication. If people in the field have not reviewed your work to say, okay, yeah, this is publishable, then you
can.
Yeah,
actually, I have one published on Science View Journal. But I'm thinking of, since it's just one, I'm thinking of maybe anyone. I don't have money for any normal. So one that can maybe make it two.
Right.
Looking for a cheap way.
If you have one, then if you have one that is currently in development, or if you've done it, it's just not published, you don't have money to publish, a way you can make that accessible to your reviewers is to put it on one of these preprint websites. So I don't know your field, but depending on your field, if you read the blog post that I sent, some are fields.
Biochemistry.
Okay, so if it's biochemistry, I know bioarchive or archive or preprints.org will be able to take that. I've actually not seen anyone use the Afric archive, but it's out there. If it's all you just want to do is to put it somewhere where they can host it, and they will give you the citation and the link that people can go to. So that's an option. So top 1% or 2%. So yeah, good question. So what where do we stop, right? 1%, 2%. So in my own opinion, this is just a personal opinion, I think 5%, you're still top 5% is something to be proud of. That's, for example, in my alma mater, Oklahoma State, this is the top 5% are usually even, they are presented, they are awarded and they are honored. So I think top 5% is probably where we stop. If it's going to 10%, it's probably not something you should show. So if it's still 2%, that's great. So that's okay. That's just my personal opinion based on my experience. So anything 5% is great, based on my experience. But depending on how competitive the school is, and you don't have to do this anyway. You don't have to put it on your CV. Some people choose to do it, which is okay. But if you are going to do that, what I always hammer on is, if you are going to do that, make sure your referees allude to that point as well. Or else it's
okay. They should know that I'm top 2%.
They should know how brilliant you are. He's a very brilliant person. He did so well here that he graduated in the top 2% of his class, things like that. So the last one, University of Alabama, well, there's little you can do here. The only way I think you can manage this is to talk to the grad coordinator, right? And tell them, it's difficult to get your original transcript. You have a student copy. If they can use that student copy and the West evaluated one. You can support it with the West. But I guess you have a student copy, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
And you have a student copy, you might not just be able to get the original copy in good time for this application. You can say it like that. I might not be able to get the original copy in good time for this application. However, I have the student copy and the West evaluated version. Is this enough for at least for the application review? Because you don't know if they are going to admit you or not yet.
Yeah.
So you don't want to waste money. I always ask people to try to use the student copy first for all this application. If it's possible, contact them and say, "Look, this is what you have." If it's possible, they use this for review. Then if they find you worthy of admission, you can now spend money to get the original one if they still insist.
Okay.
So that's all you can do. It's always okay to talk to this admission or grad school coordinators. All right, thank you.
So sorry, Doc. Now I remember just the last question. In my publication, across all different schools, the research area, the publication does not fit into all the research areas you get. So I'm asking, should I still leave the publication when I'm applying to a different school that publication does not really, fit into that particular research interest?
Yeah, it's okay. It's still in the same science-related field.
Yes,
right?
yes.
That's okay. You don't have to have things published in that specific research area. As long as it's related to the broader field, it's okay that you change from, it's expected that you will even think of something different from your undergrad or grad school. Something is enticing you to come to this field, that's okay. But we want to see how prepared, how experienced you are in writing. They just want to see how well you can write. And if you've had the experience of writing scientific articles, that would still help you in grad school to work on your current field. So that's okay.
Okay, Doc, this one is just on your personal advice now, because lately I've been feeling these doubts due to the qualification I told you I have. So do you think I should focus more on MSc or I should still consider PhD? I just an advice. Lately I'm feeling as if with this PhD is quite impossible, kind of.
It's a tough choice, because sometimes I just ask people to you have to mix it up. PhDs are more competitive, and you will get, if in most cases when they admit you for PhD, you get funded. But in masters, in almost all the cases I'm seeing recently, you will probably not be funded. But it's easier to get. So
that's the problem.
It's easier to get if you can, like one of the guys did on last year. So he just opted for a master's in civil engineering. So he got it easily. He didn't get funded. He got a loan. He got in. One thing that almost happens, especially if you're in a good school, is there's always funding. They would try to take care of their current students before they give new students. So if you're already, let's say, one semester and you did well in that semester, some people graduate that semester, and if you're a good student, you will probably be considered for that funding before they bring in any new person. So it usually takes one semester or two, or you will eventually get funded. That's the option for master. But for PhD, they want to make sure everything is perfect before they admit you. So it's just, you want to mix it up in many schools and apply for master's here, PhD here.
Okay.
And see where that lands you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Doc. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, so let's brush through some of these questions in the chat. Is publications on ResearchGate allowed? Again, it's more of a preprint if it's not submitted to a journal. So yeah, if you have a link that you can share to people, yeah, that's great. But I would still consider it as a non-peer-reviewed publication. Please, can you do a recap on the code email? My network was bad. You will see this when we upload it on the channel. So we'll upload this, maybe all the sections or some sections on the YouTube channel, and you can revisit this code email section there. I have great research experience, but my grade is 2.2. Do I have any chances for a PhD? It's difficult to say that. The question here, it's going to entail a lot of other things, like the school you want to apply to, your field, the quality of your referees, if you are going to take any other exams or not. There's just a lot of things that go into this advice. But I can't tell you if you have a chance. Of course, there's always a chance, but how good of a chance it is something we don't know yet. So I'll need more details to be able to advise you. Recently, I wrote a cold email to a potential professor, and she said she's interested that we could discuss about opportunities without requesting for my CV or research proposal, or even a Zoom meeting, because in the mail, I included a link to one of the publications I co-authored that it's related to the prof research. She then referred me to the director of the department and grad coordinator for more information. In that case, does it mean that I have been accepted and I should go ahead with the application? No, you have not been admitted or accepted. And there are no promises, even when they tell you to go ahead and apply. When they put together everyone in the application pool, someone else might be more interested in the professor. So really, it's just a way to improve your chances, but it's not like 100% or sure thing. In some cases, it's very sure when the professor, some of them keep to their words, or some don't. So it's just a way to improve your chances, let me put it that way. But in this case, since the professor has interacted with you before, if you still want to go ahead and apply here, you can, of course, mention that you've interacted with Dr. So-and-so in your SOP. And it will be a good thing when you actually submit an application to say, I'm excited to pursue this particular research with you, and I'm happy to inform you that I've applied for a PhD in your department. Just to mention that you've applied eventually. So that's what I would do in this case. Not just to take the referral surface level like that, okay? Is getting a PhD admission dependent on securing a supervisor first before making a formal application? In some cases, so it depends. In some cases, some schools will say you need to secure a supervisor, but depending on your field, most of the time in sciences now, people are doing more of lab rotations. So in this case, it might not be important to secure. It might still be good to interact with the professors before you submit. But you don't have to have someone sign something to say, okay, I'll be your advisor. That hardly happens in nowadays. It's just to put your name out there, and so that when they review your application, they remember you. So nothing is sure. All we are trying to do and give you is to improve your chances. Concerning submitting a manuscript in preprint, I wanted to ask if I could do this without my supervisor's knowledge. Whoa. I have prepared the manuscript, but my supervisor is quite very busy at the moment, so he hasn't had enough time to review it. But then I need to prove that I have. Oof. All right, this is a good one. I know some people here are might be in that situation. let me tell you what I would do. I'm not saying you should do this, but this is what I would do. If I'm very desperate, I would try to get the professor to read this document, give me corrections, and I would do my very best to encourage them. But if I know that this opportunity, my progress hinges on this opportunity, and I just can't get this person to read or give me feedback, I will tell them that, of course, I'm applying for grad school, and I would tell them the purpose of having this out there, the preprint, how it's going to help you and everything. Still, if they are not interested to help you, then you got to help yourself. What that means is, for me, if you did all the work, if you paid for all I know typically you will be the one to pay for all the equipment, the resources, the material, and you did all the work, and you wrote the paper, and this person is trying to hinder your progress, I will do whatever it takes to put my name out there. I'll go ahead and print this work. It's not published anyways, but I'll preprint it and I will put the link on my CV. But I will do whatever it takes to get him to do this for me first. But then after all this, if I know that this is probably getting to the point where he or she does not care or is being intentional about delaying me, because I've seen situations like that before, and I will take my destiny into my hands. Okay. But of course, you want to make sure that maybe they don't see this, right? Because you might still need their reference. That's if they are going to write it for you. Anyone that does this to you, probably not. They don't want your progress. But if you can find other people to write reference letters for you, that's great. But at some point, man, with all these supervisors in Nigeria, there are some that are great, but I understand that there are some that they don't want your progress. You just have to take matters into your own hands in some cases. That's what I will do anyway. So what are you going to do? That's what I will say on that subject. All right, let's go back to priceless. I need to end in 10 minutes, so please keep your questions very sharp. Priceless, are you there? No, you're not. All right. Okay, Mote. Did I pronounce that right, please?
Hello.
Oh,
Yeah. Sorry, I am here.
All right.
Good evening.
All right.
It's Friday.
Priceless. All right. Quickly, let's
all right.
out.
Thank you, sir, for very insightful section. I'm so grateful for it. The few questions I have are, first and foremost, for getting a PhD position, are there required number of publications one ought to have? Looking at the year one graduated, I graduated in 2016. I'm on the concluding part of my master's. I just got one publication and I'm hoping to publish another one not so long from now. Can 2 publications, or is it, to me, I was thinking that it's too small, that if you're going for PhD, you need to have, I don't know, but I really want to have an understanding around it.
No, I don't think any reasonable department puts a limit on publications. It's a nice thing to have. There are still students that don't have a publication, official publication, and still get admitted. So it's a combination of factors. But if you have a writing sample, it's just a writing sample, right? If you have other writing samples, even outside publications, people can still work with that. But no, there's no limit.
Okay. Thank you so much.
There's no minimum. Let me put it that way. All right. Is that all?
Yes, that's all.
All right. Thank you for your question. All right. Can you please teach me how to pronounce that before you ask your question?
Hello, Doc.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's pronounced Okiemuti.
Okiemuti.
Yes, it actually means there's time for everything.
Oh wow, this is your time to get that admission. All right, what's your question?
Thank you, Doc. So I'm actually switching research fields. So I've been on drug discovery and development for like 5 years. So due to promotion and all that, so I'm moving to plant pathology.
Okay.
So I've been into it for like 6 months. So I'm actually in the lab right now. So I'm interested in a PhD in plant pathology, anything that has to do with plants pathogen interactions. So I've been sending cold emails, and I have not been getting, good feedback. I have just one response. So my publications are on drug discovery and development. So I'm thinking maybe that could be a problem. I have a BSc in biology.
Okay.
So I don't know.
I don't think that should be a problem. I say it's okay to change fields. I think some of the skills you have in drug discovery will be transferable to plant pathology. So one thing that you guys should note is not getting a response from professor does not necessarily mean that you're not qualified to apply. So eventually when you apply, you could turn out to be one of the good students, depending on what you have on your CV or the quality of other documents that you're going to present. So what you should do is to explain why you're interested in this particular field. In your SOP, I think we'll have a section on SOP and we can talk about changing fields and where you should introduce that concept. But you should prepare to explain why you're not interested in this new field and where that will take you, So why are you now interested in this area? What are the skills you have in the previous field that are transferable? You want to tell them, so it shows that you actually know what you're doing. You want to tell them that although you have experience in drug discovery, some of the skills, for example, XYZ, are still useful and transferable skills into this plant pathology field. And your training and the experiences you will have in the plant pathology field will help you to get XYZ in future, Now you attach your goals to it, your professional goals in future. So I think it's okay. And you should keep trying to contact professors. The most important thing is put your name out there, let them know. Even if they don't reply, if you want to talk about those you are interested in working with, you can still mention in your SOP that, hey, I've contacted, I've contacted. You don't say you can say I've interacted or contacted. Don't say I've had a chat, right? You've not had a chat, but you've contacted Professor James. You can name if you've contacted 2 or 3 about the interest in working with them. So just in case if they mention it, they can say, oh, maybe she's one of the people that contacted me, I didn't reply. They can easily back you up on that. So even if you don't get a reply, if you know you are qualified based on what's on the website, go ahead and submit your application.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Doc.
Welcome. Alex.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, Alex. Good evening. I can hear you.
Yeah, Doctor, thank you for the session and the eye opener and all the tips you are giving to us to have a successful application. I have a bachelor's degree in computer science, and before the bachelor's degree, I did national diploma in computer science, where I graduated as the best student with distinction. Then I have 4.15 in my BSc, and presently I'm doing master's in computer science. The CGPA for my coursework for the master's is 4.82, and right now I'm working on my thesis. So I want to ask, like in my CV, including my diploma result, yeah, how does it help to boost my chances? How does it help to boost my chances? And also, I did some certification courses on Coursera. So, when I'm including them in my CV, is it necessary for me to put the links to the certificate so they could confirm or check it?
No, it's not important you put the links. I don't think they will be interested in that. If they're
Okay.
interested, they will ask you questions on it during an interview if they want. So you should, that's why you shouldn't lie on your CV, because they can ask questions about it.
Okay.
And you can, if you think those certifications are important to the grad school opportunity, what you could do again is to ask one of your referees to talk about this in their letter.
Okay.
So you asked how all this, I mean, those experiences that you mentioned are important. I think they are going to help. Your diploma, actually, I learned when I think my wife did a diploma as well. So I learned that a diploma is considered as 1 year of grad school. So it's helpful if you especially during this diploma. So it's actually considered 1 year of grad school. Like the diploma I'm talking about is the, what's it called? Postgraduate.
It's not postgraduate diploma. Mine is national diploma.
Not diploma in. Oh, okay. Then you did a bachelor's after, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah, your they would really look more into your bachelor's transcript than the diploma. Of course, that might help. You should not hide it. It's a diploma. So it's like they might consider it as one of the certificates that people get on campus, because sometimes when you're on campus, you might be in a degree program and there are other certificate programs. So they might consider it as that. But yeah, you shouldn't hide it. I think they will be helpful. Submit everything and see where you land, okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. I'll
Thank you,
just
sir.
take one more questions. I've attached all the documents. And yeah, we would have, if you really have pressing questions, you can email, or we can start with that maybe next meeting, or if I can maybe reply you straight away in the email. But I'm going to quickly take Chairman's question. Is it? Yeah. To end.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Doctor. Yes, sir. Thank you for the inciting lecture. I'm really very grateful.
Welcome.
The last time I wanted to join, I missed off the time, but I thank God for today. Sir, please, I'm actually I've been trying to apply, but the place has been issues with respect to the school should send your transcript, or you should I've not done West before, but my issue is the school has already sent me my transcript. I don't know, is it that one is not enough, or is not good, or I don't know, because they sent it to my institution and they also gave me a copy. So I don't know if sending that one that was sent to me from the school is not okay.
So if I can understand your question, the school sent you, can you repeat your transcripts, right? So as the student copy or what?
Yes, yeah, I don't know if I applied for it and they asked me if they sent it to me.
To you.
So you apply for it to pay and it will be sent to you. So after it takes time because after the process, it was sent to me, but I don't now understand why they will say the school should send to them directly. Is it that I have to go back and receive the process and tell the school to send to them?
Oh, okay. Yeah, most schools don't like you to send them the transcripts, except if this is a student copy. But if you claim it is the original, they want it directly from the school, unfortunately. So what you can do is to maybe ask them if they can use this for the review process. Then if they are going to admit you, you would have to spend, they would want that direct transcript from the university. So you can request your universities to send you the to send them.
That takes a lot of time. Like the one I did took like 6 months for me to get it.
Well, if that's what they require, that's what you would have to do. But for the review process, just to see if they will admit you or not, they should please, you can ask them to please consider what you have right now. Then if they are going to admit you, sometimes they will say before you resume, you must present your certificate or your original transcript from the book. So if it's going to take time and you're not going to meet the admission deadline, you can ask them to use this one that you have, because it's going to take time to get the original one sent to them directly from the school. So again, it's okay to talk to them like humans. Behind all these emails are humans, right? So talk to them, share your concerns with them, and see how they can help you. And you promise that it takes time, but if they review your application with this, you will send the original one straight from the school.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
One of
Thank
the
you so
advantages, you can see one of the advantages of doing this is because you can use this one for your multiple schools, right? But if they need it directly, you would have to send it after admission, or you can send it after admission. So which one is student transcript? I know for my alma mater, we have student transcript where they will say they will put it on the transcript that this is just a copy. It's not, but the original will not have that. So that's what I'm saying. So, but if your school does not have anything like student transcripts, you can just take the original to yourself and use it to apply to all these schools. Then if they require the original to be sent directly from the school, then you would have to present this after. And if you have the money to send everything directly from the institution to all the schools that apply to that's up to them. All right, so I have to stop now. Thank you so much for coming. Again, if you have other questions, we can take them next time, or you can send me an email. I've shared all the documents.
Sorry, Doc, I thought you wanted to send the CV, sir.
I did.
I thought you wanted to send the CV to the page.
He has sent it.
I did.
No, not the cover letter. I can see the cover letter. There was a CV you were displaying on the screen. I couldn't find it in the chat.
He has
I've
sent
gotten
it.
any of the documents.
All right, so I'm going to send it again before we cut.
All right, sir.
So detailed CV, that's that. And again, the cover letter template. So the other CV type, the one that I called my own in 2013, you can find that on the course. You can download it online. All right, so can we all find it now? Can we all see it now?
Yes, thank you very much, sir.
Can you see it now?
Thank you, sir. Yeah, we can see it. Thank you.
Yes, I can see it now, sir.
Doctor, thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. You guys take
Thank
care,
you.
and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Doc. Bye.
You're welcome. Please download before you go. I'm gonna end now, and might not
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
Okay.
God bless you.
You too.